As business owners, we all have ideas all the time. We think when we drive, when we are at the gym. But do we remember all these good ideas? Today, I will show you a system. It uses AI. It listens to a voice and turns them into a list of ideas. Here is what we build. It's a bot on Telegram. You send the voice and Telegram receives the voice. The AI listens to your notes and it finds the idea for you out of your voices. Then everything will be saved in the database and you're never gonna lose them. So the way it works is like this. First, you're gonna add a Telegram trigger for yourself, which you can simply click on this plus button, search for Telegram, and after you found the Telegram, from here you should find the 𝑛8n trigger. And after finding the 𝑛8n trigger, you come here and trigger it on everything. So we're gonna receive everything from the Telegram bot. But the most important part here is that how we can add the credential for this Telegram n8n node. So to connect your credential for Telegram, you're gonna double click on this node. And I've created credentials before, but let me remove this test credential. And let's assume that we want to add a new credential. So you're going to click on this create a new credential. And the only thing that we need here is the access token. So the way to get this access token is really easy. You just open your Telegram app and you're going to search for botfather. And you're going to click on this open button. A user interface like this will open to you. And what you're going to do here is that you're going to click on this create a new bot button. You will choose a name. And the most important part is the username. So you have to choose a name where it ends with the word bot. So now, as you can see here, you can copy the access token. And you will paste it here. Very simple. Then you're gonna click this save button. So after pasting the access token, you're gonna see this message that says it was added successfully. So we're gonna close this model, and the next thing that you want to do here is that each time we receive a message from Telegram, we must actually determine if it is a command or voice. So you might ask that what is command, and you obviously know all about voices, but you might actually have question about what is command in Telegram. So we're gonna get back to the Telegram again. You're gonna click on this open button, get back to your bot that you just created. There is a menu here for setting the commands. You're gonna click on that. And here we need two different commands. One of them is a start session. And the other one is stop session. Search your ID for the bot that you just created. You're going to click on that ID and the bot will open. So when I click the start button, I should receive a message inside n8n. So as you can see here, we have received a new message here. So you're gonna go to the executions tabs and you're gonna see that there's an execution exactly matched with your current time. And if you click on this Telegram node, you're gonna see that you have received a new message, and the message is /start. And it is actually a command with a start button. And this is a default thing that exists in all the bots that we create inside Telegram. So The next node that I was explaining about was able to detect that it was a command, not a voice message. So let's send another command to see if the n8n can trigger it. Just a quick thing about me. In this channel, I'm trying to teach AI and automation to business owners who wants to learn more about AI and the way that they can integrate it into their business to make more money, to actually make it more efficient, faster, cheaper, and more robust. So if you are a business owner and you feel like the AI is essential for your business and you have to learn it, you should know about it, subscribe to my channel. I will teach you everything I know that can help you to boost your productivity and boost your business to the high level. So if we get back to the Telegram bot, if you click on this menu, you're going to see that we have two commands. These are the two commands that we have created before. So if I click on start session, if we click on the execution again, as you can see, there is a new execution here. After the Telegram was triggered and it detects that it's a command, it went through this router command that detects if it is new message or stop session, okay? So I've changed this workflow a little bit because the only thing we want to do here is to detect if it is a start session or a stop session. So let me save this workflow and get back to the execution. So the execution does really matter and can help you to understand the workflow and the way it works. So let's say that we want to see what was inside this message that we received. So I'm going to click on the Telegram trigger that we created before, and always try to close all of these properties. If you close them one by one and open them step by step, you're going to realize that how the system works. So what we have here is we have message ID from chat date, and the most important part here, which we want to use it to determine what was the exact command that was sent to us, is the text. So it is simply the text that we have received from the bot. So from here, we have detected that it's a command, and in this node, what we're gonna do, we detect if it is a new session command or stop session command. So I'm gonna double click on this. And here we have just used a switch node. The switch node, what it does is simply it will check for different situations. We have two different things for checking the situations and having conditions. The first one is the if statement, which will be used more often. And the second one is this switch node. The if node, if you want to add the if node, you're gonna search if, and you can find it here. It's a green n8n node. But the switch node, what it does, it simply gives you more flexibility to add more and more rules for your workflow. For example, I can say that if the command was start session, do this. If it was stop session, do that. If it was like, I don't know, edit session, do this. But when it comes to for checking, for example, check if the user exists or if the user has logged in, we can use something like if node. The way it works is very simple. You just add it, go to the rules, and for the rules, you have the value here, and for the value, you simply drag and drop from the left side panel. So I will take the text and drop it here. So let me load the data from the previous execution. You can do that. I'm gonna click on this copy to editor, and what it does is simply load all the information from the previous execution. I'm going to double click on this, and as you can see here, if I click on this, you're going to see that the message that we have received is a start session. So what we want to do here is that we say if the message that we have received is the same as if it is equal to the start session, then do this. And I'm going to give it a name for this. For example, I'm going to call this new session, just to make it simpler, because if I don't turn this on, we're going to have numbers instead of meaningful names. And for this one, we're going to do the same thing. So I'm going to copy this and paste it here. So we're checking only for one specific value, but with different conditions. So in this specific rule, we're going to say that if the received message was equal to stop session, then do this. If I close this setting, yet what you're going to see here is that we must actually go to this route. So let me just remove this connection here and save the workflow. Let's get back to the Telegram. In the Telegram, this time I'll also send the start session. We're going to get back to the executions. And as you can see, there's a new execution here. And if we take a look, you're going to see that the stop session is empty, but the start session is filled with this object. It means that when it comes to checking the value, it decided to actually route the whole workflow from this route, which is completely correct and worked as expected. Perfect. So now we need to create an Airtable session. Simply just we want to create a row for our session. And the reason that we do that is that since we want to actually receive the voice messages after creating the sessions, we want to know what was the active session that we were actually working on. So just assume that if we want to have multiple sessions and you want to send voices for storing for that specific sessions, you want to know what was the session ID in order to save the voices under that ID. So you're going to realize that it will be more clear when I show you the table that we have created for this Airtable sessions. So in the Airtable, as you can see here, we have 3 different tables. The most important table here, and the thing that we actually wanted to talk about, is the sessions table. And what it does is simply the most important part, and the thing that we have focused here now is to detect what is the only active session here. So let's say that we want to create another session here, and at the beginning the session that we create is active. It is not completed yet. We're going to set a start time for that, and all of these other columns are empty. So there's no final transcription, there's no ideas, there's no transcriptions, there's no overview, and there's nothing. And even the start time doesn't really matter that much. The only thing that matters is that we have only one specific active row each time, and we just want this session ID or the ID of that specific row. The reason that we want this ID is to, when we receive the voices from the bot, we know that we should specify that session ID for that specific voice and the transcription that we have done. And the same thing for the ideas. When we extract them out of the AI, we want to know that what was the exact ID. So that's why we have created this sessions table. So we're going to get back to the n8n, and we're going to connect this back to this n8n Airtable node. The only thing that you should really care about here is that how to actually add a credential, which is very simple. Just let me remove this test that I've created. And let's assume that we want to create another one. We're going to click on this new button. I will call it test again. You have two different ways. And the easiest way is to use access token. For doing that, you're going to go to the settings. And there is a personal access tokens here. You're going to click that. So you're going to create a token for yourself, and you can call it n8n or whatever. For adding the scopes, the n8n says that you should add this scopes here, so you just copy and paste them here one by one. And you're going to click on each one of these. And at the end, you can click add all resources and click on create token. Very simple. And then you're going to copy the token as you did for Telegram, and you're going to paste it here, click on save, and you wait for like 1, 2, 3 seconds. You're going to see that green notification that says you are connected and everything is ready to use. So for now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to use my previous token. And just to explain this create session again, as I explained earlier, you only have the status, which must be active, because each time we have only one active session. And for the start time, what we're going to do, we're going to get the current time with now, and we format it as year, month, day, and hour, and minutes. That's it. Because I've done the same thing in the Airtable. So in the start time, we are using the exact same format for this. So we want to save it the same as what we are doing in the Airtable. And for this whole structure of the database, I'll try to give you a prompt that I've used for creating this whole tables. So you just paste this prompt, and the Airtable would create all of these tables for you automatically. So after creating that Airtable session, let's see how it works. We're going to click on this execute step. If I remove the previous record that I've just created for tests, you're going to see that this record is being added automatically with n8n, and the time is being set correctly, and the status is active. So after that, we wanted to show the user that we have started your session and you should do this thing, we should guide them. So I'm going to click on this execute step. As you can see here, I received this message from my Telegram. So the next thing that we want to cover here is how to add voices and process ideas, actually transcribe the voices in order to gather them and send them to AI. So to process all of these ideas and voices, actually, we have created a router input here, and one of them is responsible for the for the commands as we have seen before, and the other one is responsible to see if there was a voice message. We should actually take the voice and process it. So for testing that, I'm gonna get back to the execution. Then I go to the Telegram and I will send a simple message to this Telegram bot to see how it works. So you're gonna see that we have received the voice message here. If we click on this copy to editor, we're gonna see that the voice message was detected here. So the next thing that we want to do here is that we want to know what was the current session ID. As I told you, the only reason that we have implemented this session system is to know what is the current session ID. So what I've done here is that we have created a sub workflow. And the sub workflow, what it means is that we create a workflow like any regular workflow, and instead of using triggers like Telegram trigger or manual triggers or any other trigger, we're gonna trigger this workflow using another workflow. So to implement this, what you're gonna do here is that you're gonna add a trigger for the sub workflow like this. You're gonna use an n8n node like this. I've used this before, so that's why I can't add a new one. It is a node with this icon, and you're gonna have another n8n node which connects this current node into the with the next node that we want to use as the sub workflow. But the point here is that in order to have this functionality, you should create, the way that I've done this here is that I've created the same sub workflow in the same workflow that we are in. So to do this thing, what you're gonna do, you should pass the current workflow ID when you want to call the sub workflow. For doing that, you just simply click on the expression, and you're gonna use the ID of the same workflow that we are in to execute a sub workflow from the same workflow. So in this workflow, we don't receive any inputs. It doesn't really matter. So that's why I've set this to accept all data. And after that, we just search for all the sessions with status active, which is we actually expect to get only one active session at the time. So we're gonna limit the sessions to 1, just in case if there was another active session created mistakenly, and we get the latest one, the first one. So after we have received the ID of that session in the Airtable, what we're gonna do, we're gonna download the voice message that we have received from Telegram. The way to do it is very simple. We're gonna add a node for downloading the Telegram file. To do that, you're gonna search Telegram, click on this, and you should find the download, get a file actually. So we're gonna double click on this to see how it works. It's simple. We just get the file ID from the message that we have received. So if I open the message, as I told you, close everything and open them gradually to see what is in there. So you're gonna see that we have a voice object here. If you open it, you're gonna see that we have file ID. So you drag it from here and drop it inside this file ID input. You're gonna click on download, so you have it here. If I click view, you're gonna see that the file is right here, and this is my voice actually. So the next step is to use a free, it is not free, you have to pay for this, but the good news is that this service gives you $200 credit for free for each sign up that you do. I mean, as a regular user, when you sign up, it gives you just $200, and I think it's more than enough to use it maybe for more than a year, maybe. So it depends on your usage, but however, it's too much for your maybe your business. But however, the way to use this service is to first we're gonna go to this 𝗕𝘂𝗀𝗀 website. Very simple. You just click on this create API key. You enter the name, you create the key, and you just copy it and paste it inside your n8n. But the only thing that I should have to mention here is that in order to use the n8n node for this service, which is called 𝗕𝘂𝗀𝗀, you cannot actually just click on this plus button and search for 𝗕𝘂𝗀𝗀, because this n8n node doesn't exist initially inside n8n. So what you're gonna do, you have to go to the community nodes. Let me save the workflow. You should go there and click on install and paste this, write this n8n-nodes-𝗕𝘂𝗀𝗀 and click this checkbox and click install. After that, this n8n node will be installed on your n8n environment. So it is an official n8n node and a developer has built it before, but I mean, the usage depends on you, because they have mentioned that you are responsible for using this n8n nodes because they have access to your data or whatever. But however, I trust them and I'm using this n8n node. So the other way to do that is to use the HTTP node, which is safe. It is more safe because you are just calling their endpoint. But as you can see here, you have to actually call their API, send this header with your token, and it is not really clean. So that's why I prefer to use the unofficial n8n node, but as I told you, it is safer to use the HTTP endpoint. But however, for this tutorial, we're going to use this n8n unofficial node, but I will actually keep it here for you. So if you prefer it, you can use this safer way. So we're going to execute this step. As you can see here, the transcription has been done. It is ready. So the next thing that we should do here is to save the transcription. And the way we do it is very simple. We just get the session ID that we have got from here, from the sub workflow. We take the ID and we send it with the array. This is the important part about the Airtable configuration, that when it comes to relational tables, we should pass the value as an array, not a single value string. So the next thing here is that we need the whole text for the transcription. So we just look at the left side of the side panel, and we just look for the text. As you can see, it's very simple and easy to recognize. We just drag it and drop it in the input. That's it. After this, so let me run this step. If we go to the Airtable, we're going to see that one single transcription has been added here. It is exactly what I sent to the Telegram bot. So the last thing that we want to do here is to send a message to the user to say that we have received your message, and you can send the new one, or if you want, you can stop the process. So we're going to click this, and if we get back to the Telegram, we're going to receive this message. And it says that you just simply click on this stop session, and the session will end, and we can process the whole transcriptions. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to click, we can send another message, but for this demo, I will click on this stop session. So after clicking on the stop session, if you get back to the executions, you're going to see that there's a new execution here. And since we're using this call sub workflow, we have two different executions here. So we're going to click on the one that is related to the stopping the session route. So we're going to copy to editor. And before I talk about the process of stopping the session, I forgot to explain about the Telegram node and the way that it sends the message. It is very simple, but there are a few things that you should know about. The first thing is the chat ID. And to find chat ID, as I explained earlier, you just open the trigger, close everything, and try to think about that the chat ID should come from the chat object. So you just simply open the chat and you're going to find the ID there. So you're going to drag it and drop it inside the input for the chat ID. That's simple, very simple. So there's no need to know any technical stuff. The only thing that you need to do here is to just pay attention. And the way that n8n works is, in my opinion, very simple. So the next thing that we're doing here is that we are using a message that is written in HTML syntax. If you don't know anything about HTML, you simply go to ChatGPT, Claude, or any other AI, and you just say that I want to send this message. Please rewrite it and send it for me in HTML and Telegram friendly, because if I'm not mistaken, and this should be this way, but I expect that Telegram doesn't accept all the HTML tags. So you just mention that send it and rewrite it in HTML Telegram friendly way, and it will rewrite it for you, and it will use some HTML tags. So at the end, what you're going to do, you're going to add a new field. First one is for parsing, and you're going to set the parse mode to HTML, and the second one is append n8n attribution. You're going to turn it to off. So that's it, very simple. So after sending this message, we're going to get the the session ID. After getting the session ID, so this is exactly what we have done before here. So we have one single sub workflow, but we're using it twice. This is why we implement and use the sub workflows. We implement them one time and we use them multiple times. After getting the session ID, we want to gather and get all the transcriptions. Okay, very simple. Because let's say that after creating the session, the user sent 10, 20, or maybe 2 or 1 voice. So we have transcribed them before. But now there's no way actually to know that they have sent all of these voices, and I'm just saying that there's no way to access it via the n8n itself. So that's why we have implemented the system to know that what is the active session, and we have the ID for that. So we just take the ID, and in this case it is the session ID is 11, And what it does, it will go through the transcriptions table and will look for the session ID with the ID 11. That's it, very simple. And it searches through all the rows and gets every row that has the session ID that is 11. And it will fetch all of them, return all of them, and we'll sort them based on the created at. So we want to get them on a specific order from the oldest to newest. Very simple. So after getting all of these transcriptions, so for now it is one item, but it could be 10 items, 20, 100 items, doesn't matter. We can't just send all of these separate items one by one to LLM to accept LLM, gather all of them and think about all of them at the same time. This is the problem that we have. So the way that we solve this problem is to, after we got all of them, we merge all of these items into one item and send that one item a big chunk of, it could be big chunk of text that includes all the transcriptions that we have received from the user, and we will send all of them as one single session to the LLM. So this is what we are doing here. So we are aggregating using this all item data into a single list method, and we call all of these items transcriptions, and we're going to include all the fields. That's it. For simplicity, everything's simple here. Just click this, just click that. And after doing that, we're going to have a list of transcriptions, which includes all the transcriptions received from the previous node, which is the Airtable node. So when it comes to LLM, I usually prefer to use a service called OpenRouter. And what it does is simply, it has all the LLMs in the world, from Claude, GPT, Sonnet, DeepSeek, all the LLMs that has been generated and built by the companies and service providers. It has all of them, and you can choose each LLM model that you feel is the best choice for your specific use case. So the way to use this thing is very simple, and all you do here is that you're going to click on this plus button, and let me click outside, and maybe here, click on this plus button, you search for OpenRouter, okay? And you're going to click on this. And since we have added the whole thing here, this is not going to show me all the agent and the models and these sort of things. But when you search for this and click on the OpenRouter, it will create something like this for you. And the way it works is like this. You're gonna click on this define below, and after that you're gonna enter your user prompt, and the user prompt is very simple. You just give it some sort of instruction that this is the exact transcription that I want you to process. And since we are actually receiving a list of objects with the details of each transcription, we will loop over each one of these transcriptions, and we just gather their text, transcription text. And if you don't understand this part, it is very simple. I just try to explain it, but at the end of the day, you just copy and paste this code. So what we do, we are referring to the previous node here, and we're getting the transcriptions from there, this specific list, as you can see, and we map through this list. So we just go through the first one, the second one, the third one. We just go through all of them, and we only take the transcription text. This is the transcription text, okay? And the only thing that I do here is I add 2 new lines at the end, just to separate them. As you can see here, we have only one transcription, and as you can see, the transcription is being added here. We can see it in preview. That's it. We're going to turn on the required specific output format, and what it means is that we want to get this output in a very specific format, which is I've provided this example, which just include the overview and the ideas, and each idea has the title and description. Okay. If I get back to this agent, and I've also enabled the enable feedback model, just in case if the model that I choose failed, we can process the same thing, the same prompt and the same configuration with another model. It is preferred and better to use OpenAI, I mean a separate service, not the open router. In my opinion, it's better to use another service or another middleware, but however, I've used open router again, but with different service provider. For example, I've used Claude here. I searched for Claude Sonnet. I've used Claude 4.5. I tried to use GPT 5.2 as the fallback solution. And the most important part here is that you should click on this add prompt, and you're going to use the system prompt, and you're going to add this long prompt or whatever prompts that you prefer for your system. And you will tell the AI that this is your responsibility and this is your guidelines and this is the expected format. That's it. And you can modify this prompt using AI. So it depends on your use case. If you want to create more like video ideas or business ideas, marketing ideas, you can specify all of them inside this system prompt. And the other thing that I've done here is that inside the structured parser, I just turned on the autofix format, and what it does, it uses again LLM in order if we this tool failed to actually fix the output for us, it will use AI model to fix the structure of the outputs. And at the end, what we want to do here is that in order to avoid the rate limits, we're gonna split out the ideas. So here, as you can see, the LLM processed the transcriptions and it has written their overview for us, and it is also generated 2 different ideas for us. Okay. So what we're gonna do here is that we want to add each one of these ideas one by one. So as you see here, we have merged all the data into one single item. We do the opposite thing. The opposite thing would be to take one single item. As you can see, we have an area of ideas, but all of them is one single item in n8n. We want to turn this one single list, which has multiple ideas, into multiple items that can be processed by n8n very easily as a separate item. So in order to do that, we're going to use this node, and it will split out these ideas into different and separate item values. The only thing that you do here is to drag and drop this ideas list here, and you do nothing. That's it. So the only thing that I've added here after getting this splitting out the items is to check if there is anything inside the previous node that we are receiving, if there's anything inside the object. So I've used this object checker, and it is set if it is not empty, so it means that we should actually loop over them. And another thing that I forgot to mention here is that sometimes maybe the voice was too short, so there was no generated ideas. So what we're going to do here in this case, we're going to go to the setting of that split out ideas, and we're going to enable this always output data. So that's why here we might receive a JSON with empty value. So in this case, we're going to just end the process and send the message, which I will cover at the very end. So let's assume that we have received different ideas here. So as you can see, 2 items has passed the true branch because they are not empty, and we are looping over them, each one of these ideas one by one. We just add them to the table, very simple. Come here, session ID is added, title and description, and that's it. We have done the same thing for the transcriptions before, and after finishing and adding each one of these IDs one by one, what we're gonna do after finishing all of them, we're gonna aggregate all of these results. So the reason we do this, because this is how n8n works. If the previous node has generated multiple items, all of those items will be sent to the next node. If we want to process the same thing for each one of these items one by one, it's okay. For example, let's say that we want to save the same nodes or send them into another service one by one, so we can just send all of these items to the another node, and we expect to that node to process each one of these items separately. But in this case, we just want to do one thing after finishing all of these ideas. So if it is 2 items, 10 items, or 100 items, doesn't matter. We just want to aggregate them again, merge them again, just to tell the n8n that you have to do only one thing now, and you just end the session and save the information here. And in order to save the information, we just use the previous ID that we had, because we are just updating the session here. And the way that we do it here, we just use this execute workflow node, and we just take the ID, very simple. We turn the status to complete because the session has ended. The end time will be set exactly like the start time. The overview will be taken from the LLM node, Open Router. Just drag and drop it here. The full transcription will be taken. This is a little bit more complex part, but I will make it simple for you. The thing that we're doing here is that when we wanted to aggregate the transcriptions to send them to the LLM, we have aggregated all the transcriptions into one list. So now what we want to do, we want to have all the transcriptions aggregated again, but not as a list, but as a plain text. This is why here, let me just take this part, copy it. So just assume that this is, don't take a look at this, ignore this part, and just think about this part, that what we're doing here is we are just taking the transcriptions, okay? So we're just dragging and dropping this part here, and we're mapping through each one of these transcriptions. We are getting the transcription text, and we're just adding new line. That's it. That's it, very simple. The only thing that I've added at the very beginning is this condition, and what it says is that, let me paste it here. So yeah, what it says is that it says take the first item of the transcriptions list, and if it exists, show all of them. If it doesn't exist, show empty string, in order to avoid the mistakes and the undefined thing that will show. So let's assume that we haven't received any transcription. So what we're gonna do, and this is, in this case, the first item of the transcriptions list would be null, so there is no transcription text, so it would be undefined, and undefined will result in empty string. It could be a little bit difficult, but if you just go through this and do it yourself, Hopefully you can understand how it works if you are not technical. So that's it. We have saved the session and we just send a message to Telegram and just say that the session is saved, this is your overview, and these are the tasks or the ideas that we have generated for you. That's it, very simple. That is the whole process. If you like this video, please give it a like and subscribe to my channel. Please write a comment below and let me know what do you need to learn about n8n, automation, and these sort of things. I'll try to make a video for you, and maybe the next video is built for you. Thank you very much. Let me know if you have any question.